The Evolution reunion. I fucking love this. This was the real highlight of the night for me from this show. I was looking forward to it. I'm an Evolution mark. I know they kind of dominated Raw for a couple years, which could be for the better, could be for the worse. From 02 to 05. Specifically, the Triple H Reign of Terror is really what it was. But I love me some Evolution. They had a great reunion run a few years ago, and Batista came back to the company in 2014. Batista was back here for the first time since then. The last time we saw Batista on WWE TV was him quitting and leaving Evolution on my birthday, June 2nd, 2014, the same night Rollins turned on the Shield. So it was a real changing of the guard that night. We've not seen Batista since. He's been very vocal about the company not wanting him back and not asking him to come back and just kind of being disrespectful towards Big Dave and all this other dumb shit. So I'm glad they put that shit to the side. He was back on the show in his hometown of Washington, D.C. How could he not be there? But yeah, Batista was back, got the longest promo of all four of them. They all said something, and they got a great reaction. Hearing that Evolution is a mystery song, that whole thing, it just gives me goosebumps every single time. But yeah, Batista talked the longest of all four, and he had said, I'm glad to be back. I helped make SmackDown what it was, which is true. And he did it for the fans, and he's glad to be in the ring with those guys. And then he was praising Randy, and he praised Ric Flair, a 16-time world champion. And then he goes to Triple H. He says he's done everything imaginable in this business, but beat me, which was a great line, and accurate too. Unless I'm mistaken, Batista and Triple H have only had 3 matches in WWE. At WrestleMania 21, which was won by Batista. Backlash, did I say WrestleMania 21, which was won by Batista. Backlash 2005, which was also won by Batista. And that Hell in a Cell match of Vengeance 05, which was also won by Batista. And all 3 matches were great. I love that feud. And Batista said for years now, the only real person he would come back to face is Triple H. So I'm glad WWE is getting their head out of their ass and is like, okay, we'll actually entertain the idea of doing a Batista Triple H match. And I think they are. Otherwise, I don't know why they would have had Batista drop that line if they were not planning on doing that match at some point. Because he just hugged him and that was it. It's not like they brawled or set up a match for next week on SmackDown. But, I'm assuming it's being set up for WrestleMania season. Batista has said he would be back for a full-on run, not just one more match. I think he has it in him. The guy's older now, obviously, but I think he has it in him to do the house shows and do Raws, wrestle SmackDowns. He doesn't have to be back for one match. If he is, that's fine. But he really, his time away really has done him a world of good. He got a bigger reaction. I mean, I know it was his hometown, but let's be honest. When he returned for the first time a few years ago, the reaction was kind of like, eh. It was great, but it was not by any means what you thought it would be. In his time away, he's become a mega superstar in Hollywood through the Guardians of the Galaxy stuff, Hotel Artemis, 007, all these other projects. Batista's really killing it right now. He might even join Suicide Squad if he leaves the Guardians and leaves Marvel. He could join DC Comics' Suicide Squad if James Gunn signs on to write it. That would be awesome. That being said, though, with Batista, I'm glad he's back. You got a great reaction here. They really went nuts for the guy when he came out, and also in the ring they were chanting for him. And they reacted big to that Triple H line. So I'm hoping this is not a red herring. We are getting that match at some point. It's only October. There's plenty of time to build to it. Then again, they also teased Rock and Triple H on the 15th anniversary of SmackDown for WrestleMania 31, which never came to pass because I think Rock had a movie. And he was at WrestleMania 31 encountering Triple H, so technically it did come to fruition, but it wasn't a match. It was a segment with Stephanie, Triple H, Rock, and Ronda Rousey, which was cool. And we ended up getting that match this year at WrestleMania just without The Rock involved. So anyway, I would love to see Triple H and Batista. Would the match be amazing? No, it's 13 years later. 14 years later by WrestleMania 21, by WrestleMania 35. Between 21 and then 35, that's 14 years. The match would probably not be that good. That being said, though, I imagine that if they had Batista, they had Triple H in the same show, that's a lot of star power. And they could work well together. They could have a very good match. I mean, obviously not for a championship. I think that'd be a waste. But at the same time, Batista comes back for one more run, faces the guy that I think that a lot of people... I don't know if a lot of people want to see him face Triple H, but it's like, who else is he going to face? Brock Lesnar? Like, I doubt it. I don't think he even wants to face Brock Lesnar. He does not want to get dropped on his head like so many other people have. After watching the SummerSlam 2016 main event, why the hell would he want to face Brock Lesnar? But I think Batista Triple H makes sense. They have unfinished business from this show, from when Batista quit, because he quit on Triple H, because Triple H would not give him a world championship shot. They have unfinished business. And he's right, Triple H has never beat him, which would probably result in Triple H beating him. and then Batista retiring. But that's fine. Batista is always willing to lose. He just wants to go out on top. Because his last run, while great, really just kind of soured him on ever coming back because the company was way too difficult to deal with. And he is a way better heel. Maybe they could turn him heel if he comes back and people start booing him again, but I don't think he will. I really don't. I think if he was the Batista that we saw here, like the genuine Batista that is happy to be back and love wrestling, and also playing off his previous accomplishments of being in movies, I think people will take to him as a babyface in no time like they did here, regardless of whether it's his hometown or not. So that's something to keep your eye on come WrestleMania season. That's a match I personally would want to see. Combine that with Shawn Michaels and AJ Styles, WrestleMania 35 is already shaping up to be a good show.